Hello students, today we'll learn heredity and evolution. In heredity and evolution, when we'll start with this topic, let us revise with some basic concepts which we have already learned in our ninth standard. Here we are having few questions. Which component of cellular nucleus of living organism carries hereditary characters? Students, you will read question very carefully. Component of cellular nucleus. That means cell is there. We know that students, all living organisms are made up of cells. The cells come together to form living organisms, students. So inside the cell we are having nucleus, and this nucleus, in this nucleus, which component is there that carries hereditary characters is a question. So answer is, students, answer is here DNA. How? I'll explain you with the help of diagram, students. Students, when we'll talk about cell, cell is a basic unit of life, students. So cell, all the living organisms there, it may be human body, is made up of cell. Cell is a basic building unit of all living organisms. Inside the cell, nucleus are there, students, and inside the nucleus chromosomes are there, and these chromosomes are made up of a single DNA, students. Single DNA. You can see this long structure is called DNA, students. So chromosomes are made up of DNA, and each segment of DNA is called genes, students. Each segment of DNA is called genes. Now, students, we have already studied that at the time of fertilization, or at the time when chromosomes of mother and father, chromosomes of mother and father, they combine, the process of formation of new zygote or new baby starts. So basically, from parents, what comes to take part for fertilization is chromosome. So chromosome is the only one starting of the fertilization process, students. So what comes from parents is chromosome, and chromosome is having DNA only. That means DNA must be the thing which is responsible for transfer of hereditary characters, students. So our answer is DNA, students. Now let us see which is the second question. Here our second question is, what do we call to the process of transfer of physical and mental characters from parents to progeny? Students, this process is called inheritance. The process of transfer of physical and mental characters from parents to progeny is called inheritance. We have already studied this, all students, in our ninth standard. This is just a revision. And last one, third one, which are the components of DNA molecules? Students, we know what is DNA is. DNA is a basic unit of chromosome. Chromosomes are made up of DNA. Now our answer is which components? So components are phosphoric acid, deoxyribose sugar, and nitrogenous bases. DNA molecules are made up of phosphoric acid, deoxyribose sugar, and nitrogenous bases, students. Now let us understand this with the help of diagram. Here the structure of DNA is shown in the diagram. When you will see blue color snake like structure is there, helix we can call it. here this structure is made up of sugar phosphate and it is called backbone of DNA, students. Sugar, it is written in short, it is deoxyribose sugar, students, and phosphate means phosphoric acid, students. So this snake like structure called sugar phosphate backbone. This sugar phosphate backbone is made up of sugar, that is deoxyribose sugar, and phosphate, that is phosphoric acid, students. I told you answer that DNA molecule is made up of phosphoric acid, deoxyribose sugar, and nitrogenous bases. So we saw how phosphoric acid and deoxyribose sugar are involved in DNA. Now we'll talk about nitrogenous bases. We'll back to the same slide. Here deoxyribose sugar and phosphoric acid we saw, students. It is this snake like structure, we will call it helix, is made up of deoxyribose sugar and phosphate. It is called backbone of DNA. Now students, when you will see here, ladder like structure is shown in this figure. Ladder like structures are shown in this figure. These ladder like structures are made up of nitrogenous bases. These nitrogenous bases are of four types, students: guanine, cytosine, thymine, and adenine. Guanine, cytosine, thymine, and adenine. Here, so we are having basically sorry students, here we are having basically three components: deoxyribose sugar, phosphoric acid, and nitrogenous bases. So DNA is made up of three components: sugar, phosphate, and nitrogenous bases. Sugar, that means deoxyribose sugar, phosphate means phosphoric acid, and nitrogenous bases, students, please remember, when we are talking about these four nitrogenous bases, they are always in pair. And guanine makes pair with cytosine and thymine makes pair with adenine. I'll repeat, guanine and cytosine make pair together and thymine and adenine make pair together, students. So this is about structure of DNA. So in short, we have studied structure of DNA, students. Now we are having all the three answers. We can move to the next. When we'll start with this chapter, the chapter itself is heredity and evolution. Now word heredity, what is heredity? Heredity is the transfer of biological characters from one generation to other via genes. Students, we are already familiar with genes. What is genes is, here students, we can see in this diagram, in this picture, cell is having nucleus, inside the nucleus chromosomes, and each chromosome is made up of a single DNA, and each segment of DNA is called gene. Each segment of DNA is called gene, students. So we are already familiar with the word genes. Now here we are talking about heredity. So we are having definition for heredity, students. Heredity is the transfer of biological characters from one generation to another via genes. John Gregor Mendel is the pioneer of modern genetics. He is also known as father of genetics. Why? Because of his a lot of hard work. Students, he did a lot of research work, and at the end of his research work, he understand the conclusions of his research about heredity, and he could figure out mathematical formula to find the inheritable patterns, students, and that is the reason why he is known as father of genetics. Next, in 1901, the reasons behind the sudden changes were understood due to the mutational theory of Hugo de Varies. Since till that time, the scientists were not having answer for the sudden changes in genes, and that is the reason the scientist Hugo de Vries came forward and he gave the mutational theory, and on the basis of mutational theory it was then possible for answer behind the mutational changes, sudden changes students. After Hugo de Vries, in 1902, Walter and Sutton observed the pair of chromosomes in the cell. Till 1902, the world was not aware of chromosome. Today we know that chromosomes are there in nucleus, and chromosomes are made up of DNA. Each segment of DNA is called genes. Even inside the genes, we have information about. But in 1902, till that time, the world was not aware about genes. The pair of scientists, Walter and Sutton, when they were observing the cell of grasshopper students, grasshopper. See, this is the picture of grasshopper. They were studying the cell of this grasshopper. When they were studying the cell of grasshopper, they saw chromosomes. They saw pair of chromosomes, and then it was the first time when this chromosome came in picture. Now, afterwards, when it was proved that genes are carried via chromosomes. See, once chromosome is discovered, the study about structure of chromosome started, and then the scientists, they uncovered that knowledge, the genes are there in chromosomes, and these genes are responsible for genetic changes. And then once it was proved that genes are carried via chromosome, this research started in the direction of finding the nature of genetic material students. Later on, in 1944, trio of scientists, Ostwald Avery, McLean McCarthy, and Colin MacLeod, proved that except viruses, all living organisms have DNA as genetic material. Later, in 1961, the French geneticists Francois Jacob and Jacques Monod proved, these two scientist students, Jacob and Monod, proposed a model for process of protein synthesis with the help of DNA in bacterial cells. What they said DNA is there in nucleus and they produce RNA, and because of RNA, with the help of RNA, proteins are getting synthesized. This model was proposed by Francois Jacob and Jacques Monod. Both Jacob and Monod, once they proposed this model, it helped to uncover the genetic codes hidden in DNA strands, and thereby the technique of recombinant DNA technology emerged with the vast scope in the field of genetic in engineering. Now, what is recombinant DNA technology, student? Recombinant DNA technology is the joining of is the joining together of DNA molecules from two different species. Here, one DNA of one species, another DNA of another species. When they are combined, a new DNA structure is formed. This recombined DNA molecule is inserted into a host organism to produce new genetic combinations. To produce new genetic combinations. Students, the science of heredity is useful for diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of hereditary disorders. Hereditary disorders. What are the hereditary disorders? Hereditary disorder is a disease or disorder that is inherited genetically. Hereditary diseases are passed on from one generation to another through defective genes. Through defective genes. Now here, what one another use of hereditary, science of heredity, production of hybrid variety of animals and plants. Students, in first picture you can see zebroid is there. This is the mixture hybrid of horse and zebra. Horse and zebra. See, it this animal looks more beautiful than horse and zebra, and this animal is having both the qualities of horse and zebra. So this is hybrid variety, not only in animals but also in plants. Students, here you can see the crop A is having large quantity but quality is not good. Here in B, when you will see, quality is good but quantity is less. But when you will see hybrid variety C, quality and quantity both are good. So this hybrid variety of crop is the result of science of heredity. Students, here few more examples. Owl plus spider, owl spider. Bear plus crocodile, bear crocodile. Rabbit plus bird, rabbit bird. You can see these examples, students. Here one more example, students. You must have seen many huge trees in your surrounding having few fruits. But here when you will see in this first picture, there is a plant in pot and having more fruits. So this is the result of hybrid variety of mango tree. In the same way, few years ago, it is seen that there were only pink color hibiscus flowers were there. But nowadays in market, when you will see, you will get different variety of hibiscus flowers. And this different variety of hibiscus flowers are result of science of heredity. Students, now students, I'll stop this lecture here. I'll continue the same in next video. Students, thank you for the day. We'll meet again in heredity and evolution part 2. Thank you, students.